And operating zone, of course, for those who are not familiar or are familiar, just want to reinforce the point that there's a tax deferral, and the timeline is especially interesting if you invest with before the end of this year. You're able to invest capital gains from all far back as October 5th, 2019. Uh, so if you sold stocks or capital gains as far back as October 5th, 2019, you could actually get those refunded to you and deferred until December 31st, 2026. The timeline is specifically available because of the CARES Act and the extension that typically is 180 days. So it's usually 6 months. But in this case, it's 6 months up until December 31st. So from April 15th. So actually, it's October 5th, 2019. So if you sold stocks in December, November, in October 2019, or in January this year, or anytime afterwards, you could then defer those capital gains by investing those capital gains in opportunity zone before December 31st, 2020. So this before the end of the year. So that's the specific timeline. And that's why I'm setting up now, even though for this investment, it will be kind of not as ideal because it's not a productive investment until we break ground. What I mean by that is typically when we're doing an investment, we would want essentially the investors to come in, the investment money to come in right before we break ground. We don't want to have the money idle. But because of this extended timeline, we want to make sure that people can invest. But if you have sold capital gains like now, you don't necessarily need to invest before December 31st. You can invest within 180 days from now. And then once you hold it, so once you put it in the fund, your 10-year clock starts. So the 10-year clock is important for the future capital gains. And the future capital gains allows you to get any capital gains that occur to be wiped out in terms of paying taxes on it, and depreciation that you will have accrued as well, that would typically be depreciation recapture, would not be paid in the future as well. It's a tax deferral, so not necessarily, obviously it's not a tax elimination. Deferral already is better. That's what essentially all 401ks are, is a tax deferral. But of course, it's deferral until December 31st, 2026. So that's when you would have to pay 90% of your capital gains taxes. The cost basis of your cost basis goes down by 10% if you hold it within 5 years. And right now the limitation is up until December 31st. So that allows you to reduce your taxes, your deferred taxes by 10%. There's the five. So this is a 5-year rule that allows you to invest. And so that 5-year rule will expire the December 31st, 2021. So if you invest in January 1st, 2022, it cannot go to 5 years because of the rule right now allows you to defer capital gains until December 31st, 2026. So right now it's 6 years, right? So 6-year deferral. When you invest next year, it'll be a 5-year deferral. When you invest in 2022, it'll be a 4-year deferral. And that 4 years does not allow you to have the 10% step down. You still have the deferral, but you don't have the reduction. So there's 3 parts. There's a deferral of your present capital gains. There's a reduction of your present capital gains if you hold it for 5 years. And then it's a elimination of future capital gains, including depreciation, if you hold it for 10 years. So the only timeline that you would consider is when did you sell your stocks? Then you have 180 days to invest that capital gains. If you sold the stock up from October 5th, 2019, you have way more than 180 days. You have until the end of this year. If you sell it if you sell it in the next, if you sell it Right now, you have 180 days from now. This is both for short term and long term.
Okay.
Yeah, so future capital gains, which is inclusive of the depreciation that you have accumulated during the hold. So typically, if you invested in a syndication or in real estate in general, you would get a bonus depreciation. That would typically be 50 to 60%, maybe more, depending on the asset and the area, maybe less. Um, and you would get that in the first year. That will then be recaptured in the future. You will also get normal straight line depreciation, which is typically, depending on the asset class, 27 and a half years or 39 years, depending on residential or commercial. And for this one is residential. So 27 and a half years divided by, essentially every year divided by 27 and a half years. So 4% allows you to then get more depreciation. That depreciation is all a deferral, right? Depreciation is essentially a deferral of taxes. That deferral also then converts normal, potentially normal passive income to long-term capital gains as the depreciation recapture. That depreciation recapture would happen when you sell the project. In this case, or when you exit the project. So even if you don't sell it, if you don't sell the property, if you exit capital, that you would have to be recaptured. In this case, if you hold it for 10 years, that the recapture does not happen. That essentially counts as capital gains that you have accumulated and gets eliminated, in
Oh,
addition to the future capital gains that you incurred. The depreciation can be applied to on a passive income.
I see.
And so if I assume that most of this is going to be portfolio income, portfolio capital gains income. Portfolio
Mm.
capital gains income is in a different silo than passive income. So there's three silos: active income, portfolio income, and passive income. Unless you're a real estate professional, then you can't blend it. So that's what I do, but most of you guys probably aren't. And so you can't really blend those those losses that you've gotten from your passive income to your portfolio income. So you can't apply it, but you can apply it for the income that you generate from this investment and other investments. So there's no minimum because this is a operating zone. What I would say is, um, I'm only going to accept capital gains capital for this, of course, because there is the qualification that the 90% of the fund needs to be capital gains, and it's much easier to just say 100%. And so everybody has different capital gains they need to defer. If you have, 79,525, invest that full amount. Um, so that's what I would say. So invest the amount that you need to defer your capital gains on. This, I'm happy to present this sort of as an option for you guys. Operating zones are really something that we don't make as much on. It's not the ideal hold time. It's not the ideal. I'm doing this because I'm investing myself. I want to defer my own capital gains. If I didn't have this, I would probably have to find another investment. Unfortunately, Lansing was no longer an operating zone. And so this is mostly just trying to help us out to not pay capital gains. So there's really not a scaling benefit here. I mean, this scaling benefit, of course, obviously, the more we build, the better we have operation expenses and ready. The so it's really trying to help you guys out on capital gains. The capital gains has to precede the investment. If you put money in, I would say that your capital gains need to have incurred before. If you're looking to invest in option zone, say you have the capital gains happen in March next year, and you say, I have the cash now, just save my space. Here's the money. Then we'll swap out with capital gains money in 4 years, or not in 4 months. Then it will be occur after. In this case, this is the only investment vehicle that allows you to sell stocks and defer those capital gains. Capital gains on real estate, yes, there's so many other vehicles to do that. 1031 exchange, for example, DSTs, for example. But in this case, this is one of the best ways to defer and reduce the capital gains on sale of stocks.